Hi, this is Henrik.
And I'm Asle.
And I'm Björn.
And we are Airbag. And we are here to talk about our new album, The Century of the Self.
The album was going to be called Erase initially. We had that title for quite some time, and obviously we took it from the first song that we wrote for the album. It was pretty late in the process that we changed the title, probably because we wanted something a bit more fitting, a bit more powerful, I guess. And I think it was Asle who came up with the title, The Century of the Self.
Yeah, we were discussing different ideas, and I was thinking about this documentary called The Century of the Self. And I thought it was quite fitting, and it kind of encompasses all of the themes of the album and the songs.
This album has only 5 songs. That's where all the others have 6. We tried to make 6 this time as well, but we were only able to make 5. And I think the different songs have very different processes. Some of them started jamming with other people, some of them started with a drum idea, and some of them started with a demo from Björn, which is usually the case.
Yeah, and I think very important this time was the jamming sessions with our friends, Christian and Ole Mikael.
Yeah, we spent quite a lot of time working with Christian Hultgren from Wobbler and Ole Mikael Bjørndal, who did an album called Collegiate. Both of them have been playing with us for nearly a decade now. Christian, Henrik and I spent a lot of time just working on the arrangements, and as Henrik said, some of the ideas came from just jamming, and we picked up on some of the ideas, and I also brought in a few songs. So I think that's the biggest difference this time. We sort of went back to how the band started, and spent a lot of time just playing and jamming, and I think you can hear that on the album as well, that it's much more band oriented. It's much more fitting for a live setting as well. I think most of the initial ideas started as a sort of a continuation of our last album, Day at the Beach, and the demos that I presented at least was much more in that 80s vibe that we had on the last album. And then during the process that the three of us, Henrik, Christian and I, was jamming, it sort of turned into almost like a power trio at one point, focus on the guitars and drums and bass. And then at the later stage, Asle came in and sort of turned it a bit upside down and introduced more of a 90s sound, I guess, which set this the standard almost for the rest of the songs. I think you started with Erase.
Erase was the first song, yes.
Erase all you know. And everything.
And sometimes also messing around with the sounds that the guys have already recorded, like the guitars, atmospheric sounds, messing around with them to make them, fit in and different. And that's great fun. And also synthesizers and lots of fun tools. Dysphoria. Yes, it wasn't called Dysphoria in the beginning. It was called Woke.
Yeah, it was. And the lyrics are, I think, very fitting for the whole album, sort of set the standard for the whole album. And they're about wokeism from the point of view of the person cancelling.
I think it's also about identity culture, and the idea that's quite recent that you can sort of just decide for yourself who you are, who you want to be, identity-wise. It doesn't matter anything. If you want to, whatever you feel like. that's who you are. And that's a new idea which we find interesting. So it's a bit about that as well.
It was also, I think this was the first song that we sort of wrote together as well for the album. I think it started out with just Henrik and me jamming, and I had this guitar riff, and Henrik came up with the drum pattern, and we brought in Christian and worked out the middle section, which is a bit unusual for us. Lots of heavy guitars and riffing and stuff. But it's an interesting song that I think has both something new and something that goes all the way back to the first albums.
Initially it was much more complex, and that's sort of like the theme for the drums all over this album. I tried to keep everything as simple as possible and focusing more on sound than playing, focusing more on like what serves the song than just having fun. So initially it was a lot more things, and then we just stripped it down, and I think that worked out well.
I remember listening to Marillion at the time, and I wanted to write a sort of a pop song in the Marillion style.
I think this is a song that very much speaks to your strength as a songwriter, because we had the chorus was there for a long time. The chorus and the music was there for a very long time. We didn't really have the verses, and up until quite late. And you just said, okay, right, I'll get back to work. And you went off, and you came back with this just perfectly fitting lyrics for the verses that kind of put everything together.
There's several parts in the mid section, and we at some point we realized that they resembled a lot of the stuff that we had done before. So I think it was Henrik that said that we had to change something, and you're good at that. You always notice when something when we're repeating ourselves.
Don't look down.
Awakening is the ballad or the positive song on the album. I think the message is about hope. It's about daring to put down your phones, stop scrolling, and take a pause from social media and the echo chambers and everything, and start living again. And I think that's part of the problem with wokeism and cancel culture, is that you have these strong voices on social media, you have these echo chambers, and that sort of drags you in. Again, if you dare to look up, and there's definitely something positive there.
Erase your freedom.
I think Erase is the song we've spent the most time working on, definitely.
The bass line and the drum structure, at least on the verse, was something, a short snippet that I had laying around and that I just recorded years ago. It was fun to just pick it up and see what we could do about it.
The drum sound was a big discussion. They sounded really different initially, especially the snare. And we worked on these little stops and these little tweaks and sounds, and it was a lot of detail work.
And I remember also that you, on the last part of the song, in the middle of the guitar solo, reversed the whole drum pattern.
I usually just change up the drums for fun, just to mess with the guys when we play. But,
Yeah, I always struggle at the end there. I have to count in my head and look at him and look at his feet and everything. So it's quite a challenge.
yeah. But I think it actually worked this time.
It's
We
perfect.
actually use it.
Yeah.
Usually we don't use it.
And it's kind of song that it's quite similar to itself, from start to finish. It's mostly the same groove, quite monophonic in its in its tone. So all the details became very important, both the drums, the guitars, and also the sound designs, all the noises and the effects. So we did do a lot of work to get all that in.
The guitar solo was pretty much me plugging into the amp a couple of pedals, and I think what you hear is probably the first or the second take. I usually stick to that.
And then we brought in Simon from Oak to do some keyboards, and that ended up being a huge contribution to the song.
Yeah, we brought him in quite late in the process, as we wanted something different, something a bit more organic on the song. So he played some electric piano. It turned out really well, and I think he initially played on a different part of the song, and then we edited together to sort of create a solo piece in the mid sections. I also think that Vegard Sleipnes, who mixed the album, did a tremendous job in sort of gluing everything together and finalizing the whole sonics of that song in particular. It sort of points out the different aspects of the society where cancelling, wokeism and diversion and all that stuff sort of happens in media, in arts, in politics, between friends. I remember Henrik saying that we should have a long song, an epic song to close the album. So that was the task. We had to write something big, and I think we accomplished that.
I think so. Yes.